Hello everybody, my name is Bill, this is SixRounds Studio, and today we've got a great episode coming on this Steven's favorite. Today we're going to divide this into three parts. The first part is we're going to go over to the woodworking bench and we're going to rub out that finish on that buttstock that we've been working on for the last couple weeks. Going to get that done. When that's done, we'll put on a final coat of finish. Then that buttstock will be done. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to assemble the receiver. We've got all the parts, all the components ready to go on this. We're going to put this back together. And then the last thing we're going to do at the end of the video, so stick around, don't go away, we're going to mate up that buttstock to the receiver. So that at that point, everything from the back to the front of the receiver will be done. Well, sort of. I got to fix the butt plate too, but that's down the road. That's in the future. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stick around. This is a great episode today. Over all of the refinishing videos that I do on the channel, I'm always telling you that I put on very, very thin coats. I literally will put on as many thin coats as it's required to get the exact level of finish and the exact level of shine that I'm looking at or looking to accomplish. And we're there. And one of the ways that I tell is you keep building up finish and eventually it'll get brighter and brighter and brighter. And that brightness, it's distracting when you look at it. So I always finish up the last coat by rubbing out that top coat with rotten stone. And we're going to do that today. Now the rotten stone will dull this down. It'll take away a lot of the gloss, and we don't want to do that because when we're done, we want to look at a finish that appears to be miles deep, as though you're looking right down into it. So we don't want to dull it down so much that it's you don't have a nice finish. You don't have a nice shine to the gun stock. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by rubbing out this finish using the rotten stone. And I've mixed up a batch of my secret sauce, and we'll use the secret sauce, we'll use the finish itself as a binder or carrying agent for the rotten stone. When we're done, that rotten stone, we'll wipe it all out with paper towel, but it's going to leave a little bit of a dull finish, and of course the rotten stone is gray, so you'll have a little bit of a gray overtone, which is going to be fine. You really won't see it. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll finish another coat of finish over the top of that. So we'll rub all that out, we'll clean it all off, and then right over the top of it, we're going to go right behind and put another thin coat of finish on. Now tomorrow, we'll let that dry for 24 hours. Tomorrow when we come back and look at it, if that one top coat over the rub out isn't adequate, I'll put a second coat. I think it's going to be fine. All right, but either way, when you see this stock again after this portion of the video, it will be going on to the Steven's favorite receiver. Let's get started on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of finish right into the white dish, and then I'm going to put my finger in that finish and then in the rotten stone, and then we're going to start rubbing. Again, none of this is particularly rocket science. And you're going to keep rubbing until you begin to feel there's a roughness to the top coats. And you're going to keep rubbing this until you begin to feel that roughness, that abrasive feel, smooth out. And you can see that it turns kind of a dark color, dark gray. And you should be able to hear that abrasiveness. And it will begin to quiet down. Now I'm using sort of a random rotational or circular pattern doing this. and I can feel the difference. All right, I'll take some paper towel and we'll rub it off, and you can see how it leaves that gray residue behind. Now we're trying to smooth out or rub out that last layer or two of finish. We don't want to go too deep. We don't want to rub down through all the layers, because you want to remember down below all this is all those color coats that help give us that red overtone, and actually this has really brought out that red overtone even better. This has always been one of my favorite parts of finishing, because you really do get to see the results of the work that you've done getting that finish to this point. Oh, that's so pretty. Yeah, that's good. I like this a lot. Oh, that's nice. That's nice and smooth. So hopefully you can see how we've dulled that down a little bit. All right. So the last thing we're going to do, as I said at the beginning of this, is we're going to put another top coat. Again, always very thin, always rubbed out as much as we can. Trying to introduce back into the wood, back into the finish, just a little bit of a shine, a little bit depth. And always we're looking for depth. We're looking for this idea like you were looking into a still water, and clear still water, when you can look down deep into that still water and see everything at the bottom, but you don't see the water. And that's always the intentions here, as odd as that might sound. I hope you get it. Okay. Trying to get this in the right light. That is beautiful. That is stunning. And you will see this on the gun by the end of the video. Let's go back over to the assembly bench. All right, so we're back at the assembly bench, which is actually my table saw. I'm using the table saw because it's the only place I can get the cameras so they work all the way around. Anyway, so I took this apart several weeks ago, and I was down here looking at it, you know, trying to piece in my mind how it all went back together. This is a really simple little firearm with very few parts, and I ended up, even though I took it apart, even though it's that simple, I ended up having to find a schematic on this thing, because the problem was not that I didn't know where the parts went, but I didn't know which direction the parts went. So I've got a nice little schematic over here that I'm going to use and put this thing back together. I did review my disassembly video, so I know what has to go back in first. So the first thing that needs to get put in is actually the trigger return spring. So I've cleaned that all up, and that has a very specific orientation, which is here. So we're going to put that in first. And there's not any room to work under here, so you're trying to do this with big fingers and tiny spaces. One of my jobs at Ruger was to set up assembly processes or build processes, everything from machining to assembly. And one of my jobs is process design, was to figure out how to do these silly little jobs that can be so painful without having to use your hands or your fingers as fixtures. And we actually got very, very good at that. Alright, so we've got that in there. And this was why we went after that, because this is not fun. And I'm sure all the gunsmiths out there are going to go, yeah, it's just the rules, the way it goes. Well, no, it doesn't have to go that way, especially when you're putting hundreds and hundreds of these things together in a week or a month. You want to make sure that these components go together as easily as you possibly can. And you spend enough years gunsmithing, and you're always saying to yourself, there's got to be a better way. Well, the better way is what I did. Alright, that's that. Now the big spring goes in. This spring is the hammer spring. And that has a very specific direction that it has to go in as well. And that is there. Okay, that one's good. This one's a little easier because I can get down through a hole in that top tang to tighten that up. But I still can't use a particularly large screwdriver, so I have to be careful that I don't mess up the slots. Good. Alright. So the next thing is the trigger. And that trigger has its own screw. So I got the trigger. And I got the screw. Now these screws, I spent time repointing them, and you would have, if you watched yesterday's short, you would have seen that. So we went through them, and yeah, get a nice spin. So we went through them and repointed or reslotted every one of those so that it has a nice crisp. Okay, there's that. Okay. The next thing I believe is the hammer. So I've got the hammer, and I've got the hammer screw. So what I ended up having to do was putting the hammer screw in to get the hammer in place. And you can see it's down inside. Then I had to compress the hammer spring down into the slot to get it where it belongs, and then there we go. So now we got it back in the slot and it's cocked, so we're ready to go. Alright, that was not fun. And we managed to do it without scratching anything. Okay. The next thing we need to do is we need to get the extractor installed. And that goes up under here. goes inside of here. Oh, the holes have to line up. All the holes need to line up. Come on. Yay! 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 I like it. All right. Let's tighten these all up. And there's the extractor. Yes! I like it. I like it. All right. Gonna do a little bit of touch-ups here, not too much. Came out really pretty good. And tomorrow, as soon as that finish dries, we're gonna put the buttstock onto this thing. So I'll see you guys in 24 hours. So the stock really did come out nice. So we're going to get this thing installed onto the receiver. We're going to put the two parts together. So be sure and stick around to the end of the video because I am going to do some close-up shots on this. This is a really simple assembly. Simply slide that in. There's two screws, one on top and one on the bottom. My new polished, pointed, slotted, and finished screws. This thing really is coming out nice. This thing is really, really beautiful. Alright guys, so the next time we get together on the Stevens favorite, we're going to tackle the barrel. Again, same thing, we're going to just polish it up. This time we're going to put it through the rust blue process, so we'll be setting all the tanks up, and we'll be getting that done. Actually, again, the same as the receiver, this thing has not received a lot of abuse over the years, so cleaning this up is actually going to be pretty easy to do. So we'll get that done. We also have a few small parts that we need to go after. We need to go after the front sight. We need to go after the retainer latch or retainer screw for the barrel to the receiver, and this front sight. We need to get that done as well. This is going to be a little more complex, a little more complicated. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, but we'll get there. Boys and girls, we're almost done with this thing. It's really coming along really fantastic. The other thing that I do have to do is figure out how I'm going to repair this original Stevens favorite butt plate. There's a chip taken off the tip of this, and I'm contemplating how I'm going to fix that. That'll be a video all by itself, and that'll be coming up here in the future as well. Alright, let's go take a look at this assembly. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell so you get notified the next time I post a video. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.